Okay, so how does this sound? I really hope this is better. To make it better for us all. Testing? Testing. Check, mic check. 1, 2. Hello, welcome. It's lovely to see you again, or welcome you for the first time if you are new in this space. I am called Kat. I'm a knitter based in Hertfordshire, and if you've been here a while, you'd usually hear me say something along the lines of, this is my little space where I've documented my knitting journey in hope to create connections along those lines. And I am sort of edging into fibre, not just knitting. And by fibre I mean spinning and learning about the different breeds and things that are available to us. But I've been pondering and talking with friends and trying to figure out what this is for me going forward. Keeping it short and sweet. I mention it frequently because I feel like it adds background for those that are new. But I started this space because I became very unwell and felt like I needed a sense of connection, and it was really interesting to me too to share my knitting and be part of the bigger community. Now, that is true, I want to cultivate connections, but I feel like very grateful that I have got to a space where I want to help cultivate and strengthen the community that we have and keep adding to it, but it's just a different view and a different way of thinking for me, so it's going to change maybe a little bit more as we go, and that's quite cool for me. I don't know about you, but I like change as long as it's positive, and I do. 1 second, Mohair. Yeah, so I don't know what that really means, but I do think that having the alternate weeks of sharing what I've been making, and then so this week will be the week I'm sharing, and then next week I will be part of the knit nights that we host over on our Discord. So I think that's really helping me kind of bridge that, and there will be, hopefully, I've got all these ideas of fun things to do, and I didn't for a while feel like I had the brain space, and that's because I was recording each week and that was on me, but I also didn't feel like I had an easy enough setup that was a high enough quality, and I do hope that we will invest in yet another new cable, but the audio should be better, and I think I'm quite happy with the filming setup now, so it should take me a lot less time to edit going forward. No editing out as many of the camera sounds as I can. There should be much less building work that's done, and even next door seemed to have stopped for a while, so touch wood. It should mean that I can do some more fun things. So I was talking about, we will get to knitting, and this is sort of knitting, but I was talking about this last episode, I think, that I got into a bit of a rut for years, and not bad, but thinking that if I was making or doing, it had to be for a practical purpose. And I do think that's true. Making is wonderful when it's practical and useful and we can use it, and but I have found a new lease of life and a new reappreciation. I grew up studying art and really understanding and appreciating art for art and creating for art, like the sake of creating. That is a purpose in itself, but I kind of lost that, and I'm starting to come back to that, and not that I want to just make for the sake of making as what I do, because that's not what I do. I hope you kind of understand where I'm going with this. It's a bit waffly. So things like the knitted almost cosplay that I'll share with you, that is both. It's both one, it's practical because I've tried to make it so that it's completely wearable in my daily life, and secondly, the little toy is not wearable in daily life, but the joy it gave me, and actually the improvement in dexterity and considering turning a 2D illustrated object into a tangible 3D object using the craft that I love was a really fun process. So all that to say, I do hope to do a few more videos going forward on off weeks that I'm not doing a episode like this, a more traditional knitting video cast yarn journal, and hopefully more interviews and things again. I know that the last 2 years has been what they have been, so I am hoping to start being able to get out to shows and talk to people, and yeah, so lots of things here that I've been pondering, and I do hope that that makes for a better sense of community and togetherness going forward, if that makes sense, hopefully. So I hope that if you're here with me, even after that little waffle, you have something to keep you company, whether that's a fluffy friend, a cup of something warm or cold, some snacks, or something to make. I have a lemon and ginger today. I have only had half a cup of tea today, so we'll see. We'll see how on form I am. But I just fancied it, so I'm doing it. It's quite nice today, which is also really good. I went out in my Birkenstocks, maybe not warm enough for that just yet, but I really wanted to have my feet and my legs out, so I've got my culottes on. So I actually have to talk about that quickly. I am wearing my Winslow culottes that you won't be able to see fully. But they have pockets, they're big and wide, and they were one of the first thing I used my sewing machine for in a while. I think a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. But I love them and really hope to make a short pair for the summer this year. Ideally in linen, but we'll see if funds allow such thing. But I love them. They are by Helen's Closet, I believe, and all the variations that I've made so far are great. The buns I made out of brush cotton bed sheet are ridiculous. They are really, really big on me. They fit me at the waist quite well, but they are really big. But I use them in the house. They do feel like I'm wrapped in a duvet, which it's quite nice. So that is a great pattern. But I don't often dabble in sewing anymore. And I am also wearing, this is the Hair Tank by Aimee Bergen? Is that right? Yes, not Sashiko. Yeah, Aimee. And this was knitted using Organic Trio, which I do have some here. Excuse me. I forgot that I had it here, so I may as well show you. I'm hoping to use this soon, and I'll show you this little box of goodies in a bit. So this is Organic Trio. It is 50% organic merino, 25% organic cotton, and 25% silk. And it is absolutely gorgeous. I didn't realise that. It's not cheap, like cheap, but it's very affordable for A, the quality, and B, how good it is. It's so nice for the summer. So I'm really excited to use this one, especially in this colour. Yeah, so I did adjust this, modify it. I think I knitted it totally in the round, so I didn't seam up the side, and I did a very basic modification to make it have a straight across back. It's actually got the sort of V-neck in the front, but it's not as useful to me, so I did that modification. It's not really a modification, it's just very simple. Just bound off the stitches and carried on going. And then finally I'm wearing a Look at My Holes by James N. Watts. I wear, or have been wearing, these sort of mesh tops loads recently. They're really useful for my wardrobe, not practical for everyone, but this is why we knit. We make it for ourselves and to fit us and to do what we need. And my body temperature often is it's hard to control, so having lots of layers that I can adjust is great. So even on Friday I got to go and meet some lovely knitting friends, and on the train my temperature shot up, so but luckily I had 4 layers of clothing on and I was able to take all but one off and then layer up again as my body started to cool back down. So these are great. This one I used whole super soft. I'd probably like to knit myself a silk or organic trio version for the summer. It won't be quite as warm as this one, but I love it. But whole super soft held double. This one, did I? No, it was held single, but I held it double for the collar and the hem. So yeah, both patterns that are really great, really like them, and great for my wardrobe. And this strange transitional day we're having today where it was frosty in the morning, and I think it might have even under the bird, I've tucked it away for now, is the thermostat for the room, but I think last time I looked it got up to 19 degrees and our heating is off, so that's good. It's nice and warm in here. Why did I do that? Let's put them back. So I'll share this one first. It's a bit niche. He's not totally finished. I think I'm going to needle felt the hands just a little bit, the fingers and toes, just so that they stay in the right shape. But this is my little Pâté de Rollo, and Pâté is a character from Critical Role's Campaign 3, kind of little crow-headed, rat-bodied friend, and I'm not gonna spoil anything, but there's some great interactions with him in the most recent episode that I've seen. Yes, a lot of fun. I used wire in the head, so I sculpted a sort of quick, rough head shape, and in hindsight, maybe should have practiced once and then just committed, but instead I just went for it, as you do, and I'm happy. It is not the most perfect thing in the world, but this technique is something that I'm really excited to do, and I'm not going to share her yet because she's going to take a long time and I don't want to keep going on about it, but I am knitting a fern dress, and not like her character art perfectly, but there's yes, it's going to be different but also fun. But I'm hoping to do some mohair flowers using the wire. So Fern is like a fawn, beautiful green haired lady. She's wonderful, and she has lots of poisonous flowers in her hair, and there's this, in the main character art, there's a beautiful purple flower at the front, and I think I'm going to do that in crochet and wire. I just think it will be, might be a little bit delicate and I'll have to be careful, but it's fine, I can be careful. So yeah, I really liked this technique, and it's something that I am happy to now have in my arsenal, and I hope that it might inspire some of you for some ludicrous work. Yeah, so he's filled with a little bit of wool, and I can't remember what any of the yarn was apart from this, which is Alpurina. Alpurina. Not going to be able to remember. I'll pop it on the screen because I did dig it out last week. And then this one, which I'm affectionately calling mince pie, but it's the contrast colour from lovely Sarah of Stripy Cat Yarns Nutcracker sock set, and I just thought it was perfect. Yeah, so he hangs off of her belt and she poppets him, so I might actually put the ribbons on. I'm not sure because I quite like him just hanging out without any danglers to get in the way. But yeah, I'm very happy. It's ridiculous, but Pate has a Cockney accent, which I do find myself doing sometimes. I hope that I don't go it's too Cockney. So yeah, I'm really happy with him. It is ridiculous, and even little Audrey quite likes him. And this is the top that goes with it. I'll put in some pictures, because I didn't last time, of how this one fits. And I won't go into detail, but this is the top that goes with this ridiculous item. And I hope to complete it by knitting a skirt. And I'm just in the process of pondering. I'm not going to rush into any of these things. So I'm thinking I might use the knitting machine to knit up until just below the knee, and then use a combination of knit and crochet for some detailing that sits around. There's 2 panels of sort of lace looking in the skirt, and the bottom in particular. Some of the others do have what it looks, I'm going to represent it using drop stitches, but it's sort of torn fabric. So I'm going to hand knit the bottom too. So I'm just in the process of swatching and just thinking about how I want the lace to look. I'm not sure if I want to crochet it or knit it yet, and if I want to do it in sort of a lateral strip or in blocks. So I'm pondering that, and this whole process has been really joyful and really fun. It's so different to work in this way, because if you've got a pattern, I guess it's a bit like a mystery knit along, but you actually know what the object should look like, but you're not sure if it's going to, because it's from your brain and from your maths, rather than seeing a pattern and, you know, knowing what it's going to look like, versus a mystery knit along where you have no idea what it's going to look like. It's somewhere in this weird middle ground, which I quite enjoy. Yeah, very excited. And secretly now really want to go to Comic-Con as Lordna, but make it knitted. This is hitting the spot today, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. We have finished objects, more. This might be a Pom Pom heavy episode, which is unusual for me. Like I said, I've been knitting for 3.5 years. Whoa. And I've never bought a Pom Pom magazine in the same year it's published, let alone pre-ordered it, and I did. This one is beautiful. There's a lot of patterns in here that would work in my wardrobe that I would love to knit, and I won't end up knitting them all, I don't think, but a big percent. So this one was a really good investment for me, and already it's paying dividends. And I shared last week that I was knitting the Reverie socks. These ones. They are by Alison Lutz, and I have made some modifications to how I've knitted them. Not anything drastic, but I'm trying to be careful because now the mic's much closer. I'm aware that this stuff's going to be really noisy. I was using some hand-spun that I did entirely on a drop spindle, which brings me joy. It's a 2-ply. I probably did overspin it a little bit, just a little bit, maybe not. And it felt to me like the Garthnor Snowdonia sock that I really love to wear. So I thought I would risk it. This is The White-Faced Woodland by Shankly's Fibre, and I did a kind of fractal spin on it. Very, not traditionally me colours, but I do very much like it. And then this is the gorgeous Yorkshire Dale and British Mohair sock from Knitting Nikabi. Kelsey is amazing, and this was dyed with madder. I think it's a one-of-a-kind colourway, but she does have quite a beautiful colour palette. There's some greens that Kelsey's got in at the moment that are, yeah. So I used these two, and I believe last time I shared that I'd finished this one that doesn't look like much unblocked and not on a blocker. But I have finished the second one, which I have to show you rather than just stare at. So I've knitted the second one. So the only... Is it a toe up? No, I did. I turned it from a top down to a toe up pattern. Very simple, just work the pattern in reverse. It's useful if you know that you're doing the same sort of heel with the same sort of stitch count. You can just grab another pair of socks or refer to your measurements and just adjust it very simply by following what that previous socks tells you. I removed a few rounds of colour work at the top. I didn't do the bobbles. I just didn't. What are you gonna do? And I omitted a few rows of the cuff ribbing, and I did a tubular bind off. Just because they're all things I like. I quite like a shorter sock. This is like on the longer end, if anything, for me. I don't know. I don't know if it's because socks are more of a practical knit in terms of both process and wearing for me than a love of knitting them. Like, I very much enjoy them, but I don't get the squee factor that I do from garments and things like that. So I don't know if that's part of it, or if it's actually because I also prefer my Chelsea boots are the highest boots I've currently got that aren't wellies, and I don't really enjoy it when the socks stick out too much. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I wear them with tights and socks, and I'd rather just to be seen. But yeah, that's it. I don't know why. Prefer shorter ones, and it does mean that I can get 2 pairs of socks out of 100 grams, which is also very useful. So yeah, really happy with them. Kind of can't wait to give them a wash and to see what changes. I did remember to hold the contrast colour, the main colour, to pop in my left hand, unlike at the very start of this one. I did share this last week. I just got carried away watching. Can't remember what it was that we were watching. It was either The Legend of Vox Machina or... can't even remember at this point. But yeah, really happy with them. And I was going to consider doing this one. No, this one. Cuff down so that the yarn faded, so it went dark all the way up and then down. But I decided not to. I thought they could be even more sisters than any similarity, so rather than twins. So yeah, happy with them. It's a really nice pattern. These Pom Pom ones are really easy to read. I feel like I did notice there was something about rounds and rows being wrong in here in one of the patterns that I was doing, but I really, it's not, yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna hit pause. Wait. What else? See, this is exciting, and I will absolutely go and record and put this on, because I don't think it's going to show you quite what it looks like. But on Thursday I had this idea in my head, and it came from knitting my fern thing, starting it, and I drew it out and straight away I just needed to swatch and finish knitting it on Friday because it's small. And I had this paint box cotton DK from, I was going to knit like a jacket, a summer jacket, but it had a lot of mosaic knitting and I don't love it. It's not something that brings me joy. I can't really express why, but it doesn't bring me joy, so I ripped it out. And I've been using this for things like bralettes, and I'm hoping to do a few more summer knits using the grey that I've got. This is actually a new skein because I will show you the pattern before I go into a bit more detail, because it will give you context. So here she is. She is a tiny little bra type thing. Not really. A little crop top. Don't know why she's a she, but she is. And then it has this, at the back it's got one layer of mohair, and at the front it's got this crisscross kind of waterfall-y situation, and I'm so happy with her. I did think this was going to be longer at the front, and that's the slightly squiffy maths on my part. But when I saw it and Alex saw it, we were like, wouldn't it be cool to have more layers? And yes, it would. So I'm hoping to re-knit it and keep this one for summer. It was always intentionally meant to be very small, to be not touching body when those raised temperatures happen. Mohair's not the most practical, but I'm into it, and I might have been tempted to use like a lace silk if I had it, but use what you got. So I hopefully intend on doing a top and a skirt. I was going to do like a dress, but again minimising having coverage, but not knitting unnecessarily if you're going to put mohair over the top. I think I'm going to do a slightly longer top and a skirt, and do 2 layers on the top and 2 layers on the skirt. I don't know. I'm just really excited by it. I just think it's so cute. It's so cool. Sort of, I've said it a couple of times to a couple of friends. I'm like, it's sort of like the ultimate sugar plum goth fairy outfit. I don't know. It just really makes me happy. Makes me feel like a flower or something. So yes. This is Paint Box DK. This is very affordable. Cotton. I think it's 100% cotton. Yeah. From Love Crafts. There's 125 meters per 50 grams. And I think I used quite a dense needle for this because I didn't want it to stretch it out too much. I think I used like a 3.25 for a DK. And it's I can't believe how well the crop bit fits actually on me. It actually hugs me a bit rather than being a bit loosey-goosey, which some of my other ones do. And then the mohair is drops mohair in the black colourway. And I think that's it. I'm really happy with it. I knit the bralette and picked up all the stitches and started knitting about this much on the first day, and then on Friday when Alex was off he had a lovely lay-in, and I've not had the best sleep the last couple of weeks, various reasons, and I ended up just sitting and knitting from when I woke up until Alex woke up, and ended up finishing this and listening to a few chapters on a new book that I started, which was a really nice way to spend the morning, just quite quietly, and it felt quite healing after the time we've been having. And then I got to go and see friends, and so that was really good. But yeah, it's a really fun thing that I'm working on, and I am going to hopefully... I'm torn between casting on Laudna first or that. It will be one of those two as my next cast-ons, I think. Very, very fun projects, both of them. and I really am looking forward to twirling around in a mohair outfit. Like a fairy. Husband. Is that's all the finished objects? This one. I cast this one on, and this will be a long term. So I'm quite a monogamous knitter. I don't like to have too many things on the go, but I do like to have multiple projects. And within that, I tend to have projects that I'm focused on and projects that trickle. And the ones I'm focusing on aren't intended to be knitted with haste. They're just ones that are in the foreground of my mind and that I'm just, you know. So I have these other projects that I'm just enjoying, and they're just there for when the bigger ones that are moving along quicker finish, so that I've got time to just enjoy a project and ponder what I'm casting on, rather than feeling like, oh, my hands are going to get antsy and I don't know what to do. So this is one of those. Let's find it, because I bookmarked the two other ones, and this is a Pom 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 episode, not just a Pom Pom episode. I'm sorry. So these are the ones I've cast on, and again, I didn't strictly follow instructions. They are lovely, and they utilise mohair and sock yarn. So that's what they should look like. Put that down in case it's loud. And this is what it does look like for me. So they are toe up, so I did start the toe as instructed, and I've placed a marker to where I changed what was happening, so that I remember to do the same on the second sock, because I'm just enjoying this sort of magic loop again. Who am I? I think it's because I'm hoping not to look while knitting this, because it's just a sock for the television times. So this is quite nice, and also I don't have needles on it because I finished a sock for Alex yesterday, and this is not the cable that I use, this is the cable that I was holding Alex's other sock on. It's too long, it would really upset me. So anyway, so I sped up the rate of increases just because it was looking too narrow, and I like my feet to just be able to hang out and do what they want. Too narrow for too long, so I just sped up the rate of increases, and then I kind of just went off-piste with the stripes. So I kind of did similar-ish to what was recommended with the stripes, so I just changed when I felt ready. And instead of using one strand of mohair, I'm using two, and I'm hoping to use up some of my little special bits. So in here I have some yarns. Don't know what this is, it's going back in the bag. But this is the sage green from Drops, and this was the remnants from my wedding cardigan, the cardigan that I knitted, and then this is the remnants of the rust mohair that Alex gifted me, and it's from Aimee, and the colour is absolutely gorgeous. I would probably wear a ranunculus in this colour now, or just a jumper in this colour I should say, because you don't always have to knit ranunculus, cat. But I really, really love this colour. Ranunculi. And then I think this might be rust from Drops again. And I'm just interspersing all these colours as and when, with the hope of using up quite a bit of the ones that I have tiny amounts of. And yet, I have to say, these feel amazing, and I'm excited to see how they wear because Alex's mohair socks that are just 100% mohair are amazing. I think they are anyway. Maybe they've got Wensleydale in. And the mohair socks that I've knitted have also been lovely, but they haven't been brushed mohair, they've been spun. So I'm interested to see how this goes. These are no nylon. This is more of Kelsey's gorgeous Corriedale and mohair socks. So these are quite heavy on the mohair, but feel very different in that you can feel the difference where the mohair and silk touches your feet and this, and it feels so good. I put one on this on Alex's foot one. I promise you I've not got a second one. I wish I did, because then I'd be able to wear them. Yeah, and he was like, oh wow. So I am really excited to wear them, and I can't stop chuckling at how ridiculous they look. They're so because it's ribbed, it opens up so much. But yeah, I'm enjoying knitting these. I have modified them slightly. I decided to do just a normal short row garter stitch heel. It's just vibing it. If you vibe it, do it. And I think I'm going to do these not really long, but maybe a little bit longer than those ones, and with the intention of being able to fold the top. I'm just not sure about how springy the brush mohair is going to be, so I'm hoping that if I do a folded, it will work out. And then when I do that, what I will try and remember to do is knit maybe a purl row to force the fold, and then swap. So if it was a knit, 2 knits in the last before the purl row, then I'll do 2 purls, and if it was 2 purls, I'll do 2 knits, so that when they're folded, the ribbing sits in line. We'll see if I remember to do that, but that's my intention with them. Is that by Twill and Print, I think? And yeah, so that one's by this little mohair moth markers from Twill and Print, which was a gift, and then this one was also a lovely gift from Nicole, who's Time Weaver. Very cute. And yeah, I'm really enjoying those. They are just a project that I've got going for that time when, firstly, I don't just want to knit a stockinette, and secondly, where I don't really want to look, but I quite want my hands to be doing something, and it's quite small, so I can put it in my bag if I want to go out, and I am hoping to go for a walk this afternoon. That would be a treat. I've been to the park every day for the last 3 days, and makes me very happy. So yeah, that was a useful sentence. So yeah, and only other whip, which is the Pom Pom. It's the final pom. So this is book 40, in case you're watching this in the future and other pom-poms have come out. Spring 2022. So this is the Cloud Bow by Reed Keys. I think that's how it said. And this was the main incentive for getting this book. I just love it. I knew that I would want one of these, and I thought straight away about this yarn that I've had, and it was going to be used for something else, a totally different project. And in the end I used some of the yarn I was going to hold it with for something else, and it no longer felt right, so I decided to swap it. And this I'm happy. I'm very happy and excited and dropping yarn, and also very aware that this might look ridiculous. This is how I've been knitting it. So this is my Cloud Bow. That's one of the sleeves. So I've had the whole thing just in this, and I'm working around it because I have 3 sets of needles on the one project. there was 4 until this morning, and I thought I should probably do this now so that when I share it, it's not completely chaos, it's just gentle chaos. I don't think this makes them anymore, but this bag is amazing. Girl So Sheepy. The poppers on it, brilliant for on the go. I often swap things into this for travel. So I am using Biches Bûches. It is the Petit Mohair rather than the big chunky one. I think this is 25, 75? No, it's 30% silk and 70% mohair. And this colour is, it says dark blue green, but I would definitely say this is more of an olivey khaki green than a blue green. Like it doesn't have that much of a blue in it. So I really like it. Thought it was a gorgeous colour, and when I was pondering if I should do stripes or not, and I did go back and forth for a few weeks before settling, I decided that, because I had this black mohair, which this used a full 125 gram ball and then a couple of meters extra, so that was lucky, because I only intended on using a little bit of this in the end, but I was going to do striped, and I thought I'm not adverse to stripes, I'm not stripe adverse, but I feel like I'd get more wear out of it if it was plain. So I'm doing a solid green body, and then I'm going to use this with the floor yarn, this one, which is a high twist BFL that I dyed, and it's on almost black. There's like an undertone of green in it, and that I'm going to use around the collar and cuff and the hemline as the only kind of contrast. And I'll show you what that madness is. It's not. This actually should be fairly simple. So here she is. So let's try not to jangle too much. Come here, you. You're going to be held. So we've got quite far into this. This marker signified where I started. No, I think it was, is there another one? Yes, so that was so I managed to do that yesterday evening to Pirates of the Caribbean 3. We're working our way through them. But I started this Wednesday, so it's a fairly speedy project to do. I've had a bit of knitting time. I had a knitting frontier, we did some knitting. And we went to the board game cafe and I did a bit of knitting there, but not loads. So it is on 6.5mm needles, so it knits up quick, and it is quite a loose gauge, but I don't think it's too loose. I've done enough 6.5mm knitting now with mohair to know that it's not, but things like the ranunculus I have gone down with most patterns in the past, but I was cutting it quite fine with the yardage that I've got as well. It's not that I don't have enough, I don't think. It is a lot less than recommended, like 200 meters less maybe, or 150, but I am short. I am about 5'4", so not really short. Am I that tall? Maybe 5'3", 5'4". But yeah, so I'm quite short, and whilst I'm knitting the second size, what I've decided to do, as you'll see, is you knit 2 panels for the front and back, 2 flat panels, and then pick up along the side and work the shoulders out and then join in the round for the sleeve. If that makes sense. So you work some rows and then you join in the round and knit outwards. So what I decided to do was pick up and get to a couple of inches on the sleeves so that I could then start the skirt and get an idea roughly of how much I really do get, like how many inches I get down with one ball of yarn. And that from here, this bit to the bottom, is what I get. So I'm definitely going to be fine. That's quite a lot of knitting, like quite a lot of length. We got there for the one ball, but I'm still going to go back now and do the sleeves to a slightly longer length, and then I'm going to try it on and just see where I'm at, because I'm not sure if, because of how the shape of it, it's not got loads of shaping in it, it's got no shaping in it. I just want to try it on before I commit to a short or long sleeve. I'm thinking 3/4 length might be the sweet spot, because it will be warm enough and cool enough depending on what I'm after. I'm tempted to do a long sleeved one, and the next one, which I'll show you, I think I'm going to do a second one, like 99% sure at this point. We'll see, it might change. And do the second one short sleeved, so that I can layer them and have one under the other. Lots and lots of warmth for not very much weight when carrying things, which is one of my favourite things. Yeah, the only thing I've done is I think I knitted, so I've gone for the second size for a slightly larger than what the positive ease that's recommended is, I think. The smallest one would have been not nearly enough ease, I don't think. So I've gone up a size, but instead of knitting out the full length at the width here, so when you pick up for the shoulder, instead of knitting out the full length, I've just knitted I think 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 inch smaller, and everything else is the same. But I have used an I-cord instead of the stockinette that's recommended for the folded collar. I just don't really love folded collars. It's not really I think I've done 2, and I'm actually going to rip out one of them and see if I can make the item more useful in my wardrobe. So all that to say, I've just done an I-cord using the Mohair and the fingering weight yarn. She does recommend to use the fingering weight with the Mohair, or Mohair held double, just for a bit of structure. And I think actually having the I-cord for me is going to give it a bit more too. So yeah, this is a really fun, gentle project. There is, other than deciding if you're going to do stripes and that, it's a very easy project. There's picking up stitches, but once you've had practice, if you're nervous about it, it's totally fine. You'll get used to it in no time. So very simple, very, very simple. I like to make sure, and I talked about this at the weekend, just to make sure to remind myself to stop, drink water and stretch my hands. The larger needles I don't find quite as enjoyable as, I think my sweet spot's like 3.25. That's my sweet spot. But I like all knitting needles. You're all good, don't worry, I'm not bullying you. But I do prefer to have the option to stop and change, because if you do anything for too long, it becomes repetitive. So I'm just going to say that, because it's very tempting to just crack on and do 12 inches of the skirt without stopping, which I did. We sat down last night and I had a bit of ice cream too. That was a very good break. I'm gonna hit pause. She's a waffler. I'll leave that on the floor and put it away once we've finished chatting. So I'll show you this because maybe you'll have thoughts. But I think I'm going to knit my second one with not all of this, but most of this as the colours. Because I've been really drawn to either kind of lime green black or red now, like, and I think I say now, like, they're always the colours that spoke to me most. Green is the most calming colour to me, as is like a water blue. But I do really enjoy wearing pink, and I thought I'm going to do a slightly more gentle version. So I'm hoping to use these. This one, I've got 2 of these, and I've had this in my wool pantry for a long time, and it uses nylon instead of silk, and I can really feel it, and I don't love it. So what I'm hoping is, if I'm putting it in with alpaca or other mohair, or even this silk, that it will soften it up and make it more wearable. And I am going to do a little bit of swatching before I cast this on, but I'm hoping to get use out of this. I'm hoping to use them in any way I can, and I think this is a really good use for it, and I think this would be really cool as a colour combination underneath the khaki one. So I've got a real mix. This is from Yorkshire Dale Yarn, Hand-spun wonders on Etsy, and it is the juniper colourway, but like I said, it's got nylon and you can really feel it. I think it's adult, maybe even adult mohair too, because it's really not, it's not as fine, which is fine. This one is Suri from, I'm going to say it wrong, but it's Triskelion yarns in Wales. I love this colour. This I used for a cardigan, and this is all I've got left. This is some drops ash grey alpaca. Don't know what this is. This was a custom colour from lovely Becky from Back to Blighty. This is alpaca silk, and it's a lace weight, and I used the rest of this for my wedding top. This is a beautiful colour. This is Rose Tea from Knitter's Homestead on her mohair base. River is, first of all, one of the most nourishing, soothing Instagram people to follow. I have been talking about this quite a bit recently too. I find that I don't look on Instagram, and I'm really looking forward to my feed becoming chronological again. And it's not because I don't care what people are doing. I find it really overwhelming, and I think, like many, I could sit and scroll, but so instead I've just trained myself not to. I'll watch some stories, but River's one of the people that I actively search for, and if I need a little bit of, like a couple of minutes of calm, it's who I search for. It's a gorgeous colour. This is some quartz, which is the colourway. Browwork Sport. I love browwork yarn. This was some leftover I've got from a vintage project that I might rip out once I've finally filmed. And then this is the Fog. This is Fog from River 2. And I just think they'll just be a really fun palette. It'll be interesting to see how they come together with the intention of knitting. Okay. I don't often like to talk about these things, but I feel like this is like a capsule in itself, and I intend on finally knitting. You can see that I've knitted with this a few times, and it's just not been the perfect item, and like I said, I'm happy to keep things here, and I don't like to have too much. I don't like to have too many things, but I do like to have things in the house that I can allow the inspiration to take me when it's right. If I don't have that, I get a little bit sad that I can't create myself, and it's totally valid no matter what your wool pantry looks like or doesn't look like. Maybe you do like to buy pattern by pattern, but I'm someone that likes to make stuff up as and when to fit my needs. And I feel like this is going to happen with this, but I feel like this underneath my khaki one in the summer is going to be perfect, and then this under this one would be perfect, but all layered together. I just think it would be very cool. And this is, I can't remember the colourway, but this is the Beaujolais base from Creative Anarchy, and it is stunning. It's like a high twist, silky number. So that is my, I keep looking at it. I'm not going to do anything with it until I've finished my khaki one. And I'm hoping that maybe it can be used for, we're going to a wedding in June, and I'm hoping that maybe that will be a really nice alternative choice, since I keep looking at my wedding skirt and thinking I'll just cut that off and then I can just wear a top, and that's a really good skirt to have for everyone else's weddings. I don't want to look too wedding-y, but also my only other really nice dress is a black velvet dress, and I do have a bridesmaid dress, but I don't feel like me in it, so I'm not going to wear it. So I should probably pass it on, which I probably will do. So yeah, that was a waffly number. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. We've got some fun projects coming up, I think. And then the only other thing is this. And the red really doesn't show it off, but this is finally plied. This was the Jacob fibre that we kind of scoured and dyed ourselves. So Alex and I did this together. We used, I think it was a chestnut, a yellow and a sky blue, and from that we got, there we go, we got all these colours. I think it's come out lovely. We dyed it together, and then I carded it. I have two of the tiniest mini carders that may as well be Audrey's cat brushes, so it's quite labour intensive, and I decided to, instead of overworking, I decided to leave some neppy bits in there, so it's quite slubby, but I'm really surprised that it came out this nice. I'm looking forward to seeing how it knits, so I might actually cake up, maybe not all of it, but make cake up a little bit of it and just do a swatch and see. This would be a really fun elf mail. I don't need another elf mail, but I keep talking about how I'd quite like to maybe do a vest version, and lovely May, who is the best, one of the best souls, said that it'd be like being the best NPC shopkeeper vibes, and maybe that is the thing that I do. I did notice that it would go really good with some other mohair that I've got, but yeah, I'm not sure what this is actually going to become. But I did a 2-ply. I didn't do any clever colour placement. I was tempted to chain ply after a little bit of time and keep all the colours together rather than letting different colours mingle, but I do really like a mingler. I like a mingler, what can I say? It's weird. Yeah, really, I'm surprised that this came out so lovely, and it feels so special because this is completely shorn. The sheep was sheared 10 miles from the door, and then everything else has been done in this house. So this is probably the most local bit of yarn that I've ever held in my hand. The least mileage. And yeah, if you've been here a while, you know that I love Jacob sheep and Jacob fleece. They are, I don't know, sturdy, a little bit underdoggy, but they have these amazing horns and multicoloured fibre. And they have this scent. This doesn't anymore. It smells like apples. But yeah, really chuffed with it. I'm looking forward to doing some more spinning. I started to spin some other Jacob, but found that I was drawn to naturally spinning really fine at the time, like as in 2 days ago, no, yesterday, and instead I've chain plied that up as a little sample for the future, and I'm going to spin it slightly chunkier than what I was hoping for, but that's quite nice to know. It's good to experiment. And I imagine that yarn going into a hat. It's this beautiful ash grey colour. It's quite light. I've got it. It's really dodgy. Tiny thing. The way I've wound it was very bad. But it's a gorgeous colour, and I imagine it being a really lovely hat. Because I think I've got 100 grams of it. It's a gorgeous fibre. And much better carded, but it's just, there's a lot of short fibres in there, so I think I need to spin it just a bit chunkier. This was 3-ply, so this was chained. There's a little chain ply practice, and not washed. So I'm incredibly new spinner. This is 2-ply, so I've used 2 strands of wool and let them ply together. Whereas the chain ply is almost like, if you know crochet chain, it's like doing that. So you end up with using 1 strand to make 3 strands come together and ply together. Yeah, I'm going to practice chain plying a bit more, mostly so that I can actually get something a little bit more sturdy for socks and for cables. I only have 3 bobbins. It's fine, I don't need more at the moment, I'm perfectly content. But that means that I can't do a 3-ply or anything above that without chain plying. So yeah, that's it. That's today. I think I've waffled and chatted quite a bit. But yeah, in terms of life, it's been rocky. I think it's rocky for everyone, and I really hope that if it is rocky for you, you are still finding moments of joy and to appreciate. I'm being more and more conscious, if I can, to try and use positive language. I realised that between getting very sick, ignoring that, but between that and the trials of the last couple of years, my phrasing's got more negative. And I always feel like there needs to be a but, and there doesn't. And not that I don't feel like there does, there just ends up being a but, and then you just carry on and you're like, why did I just go on about that? So I'm trying to be really conscious of that this week, and to kind of just try and say thank you and remember to be grateful because the sun's out and that's good, and there's a lot of good eggs in the world. There's a lot of good humans. So I'm trying to, put out some good rather than completely absorbing the bad. And that you have to absorb the bad, but you know what I'm trying to say, hopefully. Yeah, so I hope that you are finding moments of joy. We went to the local board game cafe on Saturday, both with a local friend who really needed to come out, which was really fun, and a dear friend who you might have seen on the internet, Mary, who is Merry Little Makes, and we played some really silly short games, which were very good. Dobble, Sushi Go, which was really fun, Thanos Rising, I think it was, which was way more complicated, and we kind of didn't play it perfectly, but if it wasn't for Mary, we would not have managed to get that game going. But it was really fun in the end, at least I enjoyed it, maybe more than anyone else. I really liked my little team. I had a really good team, like Mantis and Doctor Strange. And then we played some Monopoly Deal, which I didn't think I would enjoy that much, but Alex was very good at it for one round. He wiped the floor. He did. Yes. Monopoly's not my favourite kind of game. I grew up and really like in a house where Monopoly was not a dream game to play. But we are, as a family now, quite good at playing games, and I do think that I should play more games, Mum, Dad, Charlotte. I don't think, Charlotte, you'll be here, but Mum and Dad, if you're here, we should do more of those Jacko box games or whatever, because it's fun to do things together even though we're miles apart. So yeah, and did some nice walking in the park. I didn't take my camera really anywhere with me, which is unusual but also probably quite needed, and I've been talking about that with other people too. Like, I want to share more, and I'm gonna, but the last few weeks have been rough for most people, and I've felt and had some other stuff going on. I'm not going to talk about it, but for clarity, because we're not always, totally awesome all the time, and I just wanted to keep a bit of this stuff for me, and I was talking about this concept before. I try and be really myself and honest, but I also have to keep just a tiny part of me, so that if something nasty's said, and I would like all of us, and me included, to ponder the way we communicate through socials. Because if something's said, then it's not the whole self, it's just most of the self. But yeah, I think I shared it on Instagram, but I think if we can kind of consider how we're sharing, and as long as we're talking to one another like we'd want to talk to ourselves, or like you want someone to talk to yourself, then we're doing good. And if you're criticizing or anything, as long as it's coming from a place of compassion, I think it's okay. But I've seen a lot of sad. So yeah, I was just saying that so that maybe if it helps one person to kind of go, oh yeah, maybe instead of not commenting, I'm going to leave a cool comment for someone on their Instagram. That would be cool. Pay a little bit of goodness and being excellent to each other forward. Right. I am going to go and stop nuzzling this, even though I kind of really want to swatch with it now. I'm going to go, but I do wish you well. I hope that you do find some moments of joy in this time, and don't forget to love each other.